we are going to move on to a presentation by Ben Jeffries, who is CEO at Influencer. A simple title for this presentation: Are all influencers attention seekers? Let's go over to Ben.
Awesome, thanks so much. Hi everyone, my name is Ben. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a business called Influencer, influencer.com, and I'm talking about how are all influencers attention seekers. So over the last year, we've noticed that brands have had a very captive audience, and there's been a significant competition for that captive audience as everyone's been at home. So we actually did a study with Global Web Index labeled The Age of Influence that looked into consumer expectations on brands and influencers and how that had changed hugely. We noticed that consumers were spending much more time on social media, and that time on social media was expected to continue after lockdown. And we also noticed that those of who were spending more time on social media were Gen Z, who made up about 40% of the world's consumers today. So this got us thinking, how has the attention relationship between influencer brands and consumers changed? Are all influencers attention seekers, or is it in fact consumers using their attention to dictate who has the actual influence today? Now, who remembers when Paris Hilton reigned supreme in the early 2000s? Wearing fashion brand Ed Hardy was hot, and a chihuahua with a diamond necklace was an added bonus. Hilton dictated what was cool. She simply said, "That's hot," and consumers started to buy it. Now, jump forward a few years and we're in the Kardashian era. Kylie Jenner overlines her lips with a MAC lip pencil and it sells out. The clamour from her followers, though, gives Kylie an idea. And Kylie Cosmetics is born from the demand of her consumers. Can you see a slight shift occurring? Now, a smaller shift is when we've now jumped to the time of Joe Wicks, who started as a fitness and food creator and has now become a hero and a national icon, who has over 4 million deep fan base across his Instagram. Why? Well, when faced with national lockdown, consumers directed their attention to workout and wellness content, but they were also looking for something that lifted their spirits. And Joe was able to cater for the consumer need. Therefore, as consumer attention was directed to him and his content, his fame was able to skyrocket. Now, that brings us to today. TikTok blew up last year, but it wasn't the polished content of the 2000s Paris Hilton that took it there. It was raw content. Take Nathan, otherwise known as Dogface208, who went viral on TikTok, longboarding down the freeway, drinking a bottle of ocean spray juice and listening to the song Fleetwood Mac's Dreams. Dreams re-entered the Billboard charts at number 21 after a 43-year absence, and Ocean Spray found customers had cleared their products off the shelf. Real, relatable content wins with consumers. This is what sets off waves of stitches, aka remixes on TikTok, and consumers respond and consumers dictate what to go viral. Little Moons. Hey, who doesn't crave a mochi right now? Consumers thought they looked insane as you split them open, and then everyone started a craze about it. Over 100 million views were achieved from consumers all jumping on the Little Moons craze. This left them selling out in Tesco's, where they were able to achieve a 1,300% increase in sales. The power is now very much in the control of the consumers, and it is key that brands remember this when working with creators. Attention is a key metric in campaigns today, and one that brands should be focusing on. But how do you measure it? How is attention represented online? Well, at Influencer, we recently produced a report called Unsocial Media, in which we looked at the measurement of influencer marketing success and how it had moved away from vanity metrics such as likes and comments to much deeper engagement metrics such as saves and shares, and now even further to metrics such as sentiment and authenticity of content. Look at it like this. The most miniature bite of attention is a like. It takes less than a second for us to actually like something. And I bet if I asked you what was the last thing you liked on Instagram, you couldn't tell me. Now, the act of sharing is something much more considered. It takes far more time and thought. If I asked you what the last item you shared on Instagram was, I'm sure you could tell me. We decided to build our own metric in-house. We called it the impact rate. This merely weights each engagement metric. Each metric is weighted by its value rather than merely showing the volume of an engagement. For example, a like is worth 1 point, whereas a save is worth 15 points. But the most important thing to understand is, what attention do you actually want? We all know the phrase, there's no such thing as bad publicity. But is there such a thing as bad attention? Is all attention created equally? As a brand, The metrics you're provided with might make it seem like you're reaching the right audience, but how do you know how they're actually responding and interacting with a piece of content? Well, you can actually measure the success of attention, its value, impact, and context. Through our intelligent partners, we can present brands with a deeper evaluation of the success of the influencer campaign by showing the value of attention given to the content produced and outline the context of the attention achieved. We can show you that no, not all content is created equally. Pair this with influencers' impact score that I mentioned, you can now understand the true ROI of an influencer campaign along with thematic analysis. So no, not all influencers are attention seekers. It's key that brands work out who they are before they begin their campaigns to get that positive ROI.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for that presentation. When I introduced you, I realized that I'm on your email list and I get emails from you every week. So it's actually nice to put a face to an email. So I'll not be unsubscribing just yet. But thank you. I'm teasing. So what I'm really curious about is you talk about Ocean Spray and Dog Face 90998, whatever. We know who we're talking about. Brilliant. Great to see 70s music back in this chart. But how do brands do it again? The way that they followed Ocean Spray followed up, I think they bought him a truck and filled it full of Ocean Spray. But gradually the engagement went down. It was like, and then every subsequent post, he's like, this, with all due respect, seems like a bit of a weird guy. And the more weird he is, and the less Ocean Spray is, the more I start to forget about that warm, glowy skateboarding down the highway at sunrise moment. So how do brands do it again? How do Ocean Spray do it again? And how do they protect the fact that influencers are fundamentally guns for hire?
I think the most important thing is to say that Ocean Spray didn't actually pay for that post. That was all an organic piece of content. So it's really important that when you're thinking of creativity, to go back to what I was just saying at the start, which is it's all about what the consumers dictate. So if the consumer trends are dictating that there are certain trends, jump on that, and rather than actually try and set off your own wave of sort of influence. We actually have two internal values at Influencer. The first is don't just follow, influence. So it's really important by that. I mean, search the trends and start your own, wave of influence. But then the second one is creativity with a purpose, which is all about thinking, okay, well, what's the actual reason you're doing this? What are the outcome that you're trying to achieve? And to make sure that then you can get the positive ROI at the end of this.
Ben, thank you so much for answering the question and for your presentation. We'll speak to you soon.